So hey everybody, this is Bea and we are in the Temple of Caradwen today, and I'm with my two sweet ladies, Fiona and Janet, and we're going to talk a little bit about this amazing workshop that they're going to be doing next week on astrology. So the first thing I'm going to ask Fiona is to say when it is and exactly where it is.
Right, next week on the 11th of July, that's the Thursday, we're running the workshop from 12:30 till 2:30 here in the Caradwen Temple. That's if you go down to the bottom of town, opposite the car park, between the tea rooms and the market house. There is a little path that runs down there, and we're down there on the left, and that's where we're holding the workshop next Thursday, the 11th.
Excellent, that's good. And Janet, will you tell us a little bit about what the workshop is going to be all about? Because I'm thick when it comes to astrology. It's about the stars.
Okay, what we wanted to do was to bring it at a fairly introductory level, so it's not too complex or too difficult. We're starting at the beginning with the sun signs, with the planets, and an introduction to each planet. We'll take it in turns to talk about a planet, and then we'll talk about the signs, and just take people through the very basics of the astrology.
Okay.
Nothing too complicated, nothing too difficult.
Okay. So the question is, why would we want to know about astrology and the planets? Why is it so important to have some understanding of that? Because a lot of people are talking about horoscopes and things like that, and a lot of people think it's a load of hoo-ha, but there's actually a lot of science behind it, isn't there?
Yes, there is. It's a level of self-understanding and knowing yourself and knowing who you are, looking at your planets. And for me, it's also a way of not taking things personally. It's like, oh, I was losing my rag yesterday because Mars was doing this, that and the other. It's not like I'm going mad or anything. It's a level of self-understanding. It also, to me, is about understanding our place in the world and what's going on. And yeah, there is a level of science to it. I mean, Isaac Newton was an astrologer, so it has a scientific basis. And Newton was being teased by his friend Edmund Halley, I think was his name. And, it could have been somebody else. But anyway, was saying, oh, what a load of hoo-ha this astrology is. And Newton said, only people who've never studied astrology say that. People who studied astrology know it's true.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a science because I know science is not my forte, and I find it quite difficult to understand. But I do know that I do look at, what are the planets doing? For example, the big thing about Mercury retrograde, which is very often misunderstood, and there's a lot of panic about it. But I do know that our stars, our planets, have a massive influence on us as people in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, we all know that the moon affects the waters and the tides and so on and so forth. And you think that we are 70-80% water. Obviously, the moon is going to affect us as well. And if you think one planet can affect us, well, why not the others as well? It's that electromagnetic thing. There's whole kind of quantum physics all about this. But all of the planets have slightly different energies, have slightly different effects. And of course, as they're moving through the heavens in what we call transits, they are affecting us as well. It's like the astrological weather almost.
And the weather does affect us.
And my way of looking at it is planets were named by people, and they were named and observed at different times when humankind was going through certain things. And that's why they correlate, why the planets correlate to specific energies, because we've observed them, we've named them, and we've looked at them at particular energy occurrences. And that's why they are so relevant, because those energies are still happening. That's my perspective.
Yeah, and it's interesting that certain planets are discovered at certain times. Like Uranus was discovered just around the French Revolution. It's so typical of that Uranian energy. So different planets, it seems like they almost step up at the moment that they're most needed or most likely to be understood. I find that very fascinating.
Yeah.
And that makes me wonder, in a way, whether there are still planets that we haven't discovered that will come out at a time when we need them.
It is possible.
And as our understanding and our scientific application expands, then those additional bodies in the universe will add that layer of understanding to our astrology as well. We'll just bring that in.
And to me, I will say that I think our generation is actually one of the most ignorant about the stars. When you think about people like John Dee, who made these amazing star maps, and they had these calculations, but even the Egyptians, the Sumerians, all of them had amazing. Stonehenge is built to correlate with the sun and the moon, and West Canada, 6,500 years. Our ancestors knew probably more than the average person knows today, and we are living in a time where we have the access to information at our fingertips, literally with our mobile phones, and yet we have so much knowledge that we could access, and many of us are incredibly ignorant. It takes real heart to study astrology, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. But I first got into it because of a love of the myths, the Greek myths. And the psychological astrology that I do looks at those archetypes in the astrology chart that then appear in the person themselves, shown by the horoscope.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's important to remind people that there's nothing entirely negative in it. There's positive and negative with every sign, with every planet. There's sort of, years ago there was a sort of view of like, oh, you've got this aspect of that, you're doomed. There's none of that now. We don't look at it in that way anymore. Everything has a sort of learning attached to it, and there can be great positive things and some not positive things, but that's life.
It really is, and it was interesting. Just now we had about 6 people in the temple. And at one point, without you guys actually talking about astrology, at one point, everybody sort of went, and what's your star sign? And what's your star sign? And it actually isn't a star sign, is it? I'm going to get this wrong now. Is it our sun sign?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a Sagittarius, that's my sun sign. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people immediately feel into a person and will ask them about their sun sign, because we take stock by that. We see whether that person will actually fit with us. So if you were, for example, if I met you and you said to me, I'm a Leo, I would be very wary of you, because I have very bad experiences with Leo, although my grandson is a Leo. So there are particular star signs that signs that don't necessarily get on with each other. Is that true?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think it very much depends on what else is in the horoscope. If your sun is the only planet in fire, in Leo, and you've got a lot of other planets in Cancer, which is the next sign across, and ruled by the moon, it's quite possible that you'll feel more Cancerian than you would Leo, and you might come across that way.
Definitely.
And it also depends on what time of day that you were born as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'd say your sun sign is like, if you're making a cake, your sun sign is like flour. It's part of the cake, but it ain't the whole cake. Just having a bag of flour isn't cake.
No.
So there's a whole lot more involved in your natal horoscope than just your sun sign.
Will there be cake at this workshop?
Well, that would be great. Shall we have cake at the workshop? I think that would be a great thing.
Only if other people bring it.
So the reason why you're doing the workshop in the afternoon is so that people who have children at school, but they are interested in this, they can also join, which is a part of our sort of mother world idea, isn't it? And I think it becomes more and more important that. So the workshop is again at what time?
12:30 till 2:30.
Right, lovely.
On
Just in
Thursday.
time to pick up the kids from school.
Yeah.
And the tickets are?
£15 each.
Yes.
And how do people buy them?
I would say they would buy them on the door.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a facility to buy them online?
I don't know.
Unless we don't know about it if there is.
No, but I mean, we could probably organise that. But people can also pay by card because there's a card machine.
Yes.
Here,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Cash or
we'll
card.
just work it out. So cash or
Right.
card is accepted,
Right.
£15 on the nose.
Yeah.
Any concession for people who are not waged at the moment or a certain age? Not me, I'm not that age yet.
We felt that the £15 was actually a pretty good price anyway, so I would say there isn't really a concession. £15 for 2 hours, I think, is probably
Is a good thing.
price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there will be takeaways, so not like a curry, but there will be you have
Fiona
things.
is doing some handouts.
So Fiona's
a
doing some
2-page
handouts.
handout,
Yeah.
just for keywords with the planets and the signs, just so that you can place those planets into a sign and know how to put them together, which is our aim for the workshop.
Yes.
How to put planets in signs and come away with a good interpretation of that.
Yeah, and this is the first of how many workshops?
We're planning to do 3.
At the moment.
Yes, at the moment. The second one is going to be about the moon and the nodes of the moon and the phases of the moon. And the third one is the asteroids and the kind of feminist take on astrology.
That was it. And
Yes.
these are just introduction, just to feel our way in, find out if there's any interest in the basic sort of foundational astrology, or if it's perhaps a little bit orientated towards more of the feminine astrology, and go from there and see
exactly
what people want. So feedback from people would be great as well.
Yeah.
And there was something I was going to ask. There is these are standalone, so if you don't go to all 3, it will still make sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that. I really enjoyed that, and I wish you the best of luck. I probably will be there if I can make it, and I look forward to learning more. As Fiona knows, my big thing is Black Moon Lilith, which I absolutely adore. So I can't wait to learn, hopefully, a little bit more about Black Moon Lilith. And it's always better, I think, to have someone in front of you that will explain things, so that when you have a question, it's okay to read things in a book, but if you have somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, you can ask them questions that come up at the time. So I think it's a much better thing to be there. But we will possibly be creating a Zoom link for people who are not able to join us on in person here. So we will see how that goes. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies. I've thoroughly enjoyed our talk, and we see you next week.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.